good tutorial is hard to make. The line between being overbearing and letting a player flounder is thin. At first I erred on the side of less is more, and kept the tutorial as out of the way as possible. I didn't want to annoy the player with pop-ups or have them read large chunks of text. Unfortunately, it worked a little too well. Many players miss the tutorial altogether, or they want to understand key parts of it. The next tutorial iteration included images instead of text, therefore making the objective easier to understand at just a glance. Even if you don't want to actually read the instructions, a watering can image next to a plant image makes it pretty clear that you're meant to water that plant. The images also made the tutorial bigger and therefore more eye-catching. These instructions were much better received than the previous ones. Still, some players complained it was like a scavenger hunt to find what button or area corresponded to the images in the tutorial. So I did what I swore I wouldn't do. I added pop-ups. Certain instructions pause time and point an arrow at the corresponding action needed. For example, opening the menu. The only way out? Completing the task of what's being pointed at. This way, players are forced to follow the tutorial. Normally in a farming sim, this would be unnecessary. But in Wish Guardian, if the player doesn't tend to their farm during the first day, all the starter crops will die. And if the starter crops die, the player will be unprepared for tower defense in the second day. The trade-off with dropping the player straight into the action is that they need to learn fast. This inspired the next design choice, preventing players from taking certain actions until the tutorial is complete. For example, until the farm has been tended to, players cannot go to sleep. This way, the crops will not wither and die if untended. Time also works differently on the first day, going slower so players have more time to get acclimated. Making tutorials is certainly not the most glamorous part of game development, but making a good one is extraordinarily challenging. I doubt I've completely cracked the code yet, but after 6 iterations, I'm closer than before. Thank you all for joining, and see you next week!